loss that we have against the Yankees, I look at people's faces, and I saw a lot of people crying, and I keep that in my heart. So now that we got to this point, I hope that all them people that we saw crying, they be laughing and enjoying this because they deserve this. They cry because they expecting one of this one from us. Now that they have it, I hope they enjoy it for life.
People find it hard to believe that a high-paid athlete would care much about the little guy who spends a couple of bucks for a ticket, David. This team does, don't you?
Definitely. I mean, team's always going to be a team, no matter what. And the same way people look at a big guy, that's the same way you got to look at a little guy because everybody had a job to do here, and everybody got it done. That's why we got to this point.
You got to kiss that trophy. You haven't kissed it yet. Go ahead. Give it a good one.
David Ortiz with a little piece of hardware.
Well, you know, he has been a steady presence in that clubhouse, you know, and to watch the growth of his career, you know, since coming over from Minnesota Twins. I mean, when you faced David Ortiz when he was at the Minnesota Twins, you know, a big guy that maybe might pop one on you, but not a threat. I mean, talk about coming into your own over the last 2 years, and I think this ballpark has been absolutely perfect for him. It's made him the player he is today, and that is honestly what he was talking about right there, because he said the exact same thing in Yankee Stadium when they came back to win. He remember looking around at that crowd when they were down 0-3, and he saw a lot of people, you know, with the long faces, and here we go again. And what he just said is very consistent in what he said after that series also.
It was an amazing series. I mean, you go back to that 9th inning of Game 4, and there, you know, Rivera's on the mound. You got one shot, and that's to get Roberts over to second. He barely beats that throw. And again, you talked about the Tony Clark ground rule double, but there's another case. If that throw was on the first base side of the bag, he might have been out, and we might not be here. But here's where we are. And Tim Wakefield, you talk about a guy who gets some redemption. This is 30 seconds or so ago, as he and Doug Minkiewicz are enjoying the moment. But you talk about a guy who a year ago, you know, was just crushed as Aaron Boone takes him deep for the game-winning home run in Game 7.
He had his first child this year, and talk about a great year that he'll never forget. He had his firstborn and a World Series ring to boot. Pretty good.
I talked with Darn Orsillo, who interviewed him after the win at Yankee Stadium, and that interview was on the mound at Yankee Stadium, and Wakefield was in tears, remembering to what happened to them and him the year before and standing there this year as a winner.
I remember flying home with the team last year when I was covering that Game 7 in Yankee Stadium, and one of the first people I saw back in Boston getting off the plane was Tim Wakefield, and one of the first things he said is, am I going to be Buckner? You know, are people going to think of it?
Oh, yeah, he was very concerned,
not at all.
and that was never even a question here.
Because
never.
They're not there without him.
That's
last year.
right. He could have been the MVP of that series.
Probably would have been if they'd have won that. All right, we said at the beginning of this series and after the Yankee series that if somebody presented Tom Warner this script, he'd reject it because it's too far-fetched. Tom Warner talking in the Red Sox clubhouse.
You know what? You're holding the World Series trophy.
Yeah. You know what? This isn't for us, though. This is for all those fans for 86 years. People come up to us on the street and said, just once in our lifetime. So this is for them.
How emotional is it for everybody right now? I mean, it seems you just look around this room, people can't believe it.
We can't believe it. You know, when you think about how we were down 3-0 to the Yankees, but you know, what a great team. We went 11-3 in the postseason. We beat the Angels, we swept the Angels, we beat the Yankees, and then we swept the Cardinals. And these are all three great teams.
We'll let you enjoy it. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Eric.
Eric Fried catching up with Chairman Tom Warner, and it's got to be sweet. I mean, he's being modest there, but, you know, these guys came in hoping to, it's even in the Red Sox statement in their media guide, reverse the curse of the Bambino. They put it in paper, you know, and I give them credit because management of a lot of teams will avoid things like that, but they sort of embraced it, and they said, this is our legacy, we're out to change it, and they changed it in 3 years.
Well, they came in as strangers to this community, you know, and that's a difficult thing to do, as we know from being around here our whole life. And what they did when they came in here is they certainly embraced the fans immediately. They made a number of changes that were positive as far as coming to this ballpark, and they continued on to create a ball club that had a chance to win. So, you know, this has to be a very sweet moment. You look at Tom Werner, whose experience in San Diego was not a very positive one. John Henry, who comes from Florida, where that was kind of a mess down there. Now both those guys wrapped up in this situation with a team that hasn't won in 86 years. I mean, you can imagine how they feel tonight, and the rest of the organization, everybody.
And even thinking about a few people along the way, and we'll talk about this week on Ellis Burks. He didn't get to play in the postseason, but 18 Major League seasons, he gets a World Series ring. Orlando Cabrera, spending the year in Montreal. Probably figured you're not going to have a sniff of this. Here he is with the biggest World Series championship. Pedro Martinez finally gets a shot. A lot of great individual success stories, and they're savoring the moment. We'll come back and hear from more of them as our coverage of the 2004 World Champion Red Sox victory in Game 4 against the Cardinals continues.